Good morning, everyone. My name is Beth, and I am with the Education Alliance. At the Education Alliance, our mission is to bring together businesses and community partners in support of public schools. And one of the things that we are most passionate about is career opportunities, so students can gain skills they need for future success. So one of the ways that we do this is through programs like this. This is our virtual work-based learning program, and it connects students with professionals to gain real-world insights and experiences. Today, I am very thrilled that we have the opportunity to partner with West Virginia American Water, and it's going to give you a chance to learn firsthand from some industry experts. This session is designed to be interactive, so as our speakers share their insights, I encourage you to jot down any questions you have, anything that comes to your mind that you want to talk about, and there's going to be plenty of time for discussion and questions throughout the session. So with that, I am pleased to turn it over to Sarah from West Virginia American Water.
Good morning, everyone. I am Sarah W. or Sarah Wade. And the reason I'm specifying is we're going to have two Sarahs on the call today. We have myself, which is the External Affairs Specialist for West Virginia American Water. And then we also have Sarah S., who is our Supervisor of Water Quality and Environmental Compliance. And so on the agenda today is our introductions. I'm going to give you a little overview on West Virginia American Water, give you some career options and educational requirements for it. Water treatment process. We're going to do some question and answers. And if there is something that you guys have while we're talking a question, feel free to stop us. There is no formality here. We love to tell you guys about West Virginia American Water and all the things. So feel free to stop us if you guys have questions, but we will have a part at the end for you guys to ask questions. So to get to know us a little bit. So I am, again, Sarah Wade. I'm the External Affairs Specialist, and a lot of people are like, what in the world is that? It is a super fancy term, I would like to say. And my role here is community engagement and investment focused. Primarily, I do a lot of outreach to community partners across our service territory and see how we can best support our communities. So we are the largest water service provider in the state. We have approximately 330 full-time employees, 7 surface water treatment plants, 12 groundwater treatment plants, and 5 wastewater plants. So the groundwater plants are primarily in the Eastern Panhandle, and then surface water is more here in our Kanawha Valley, Huntington, down in the South Princeton Bluefield area. And you can see there on our map all the areas or counties that we service. We have I like to talk a little bit about our core values. You can see there on the little water drop. Safety first, which is at the very top. Trust, dignity, and respect. A one team, environmental leadership, and then high performance. And at the very top, we do have safety, which is something that we hear, see, and live daily at West Virginia American Water. From our leadership all the way down to frontline employees, we are empowered to speak up if we feel something is unsafe. We see our leaders and our safety team working together to make sure that no one feels unsafe and that we continue to do all things both in our work life and our personal lives to just be overall safe. The second value there is the trust, dignity, and respect. And that can be interpreted in a couple of different ways. But for me, it means that I can bring my whole self to work every day. I'm empowered to make decisions and given respect from my peers. One team means we all share the same goal. When we come to work, we want to provide clean, reliable drinking water to our customers, which also plays on the environmental leadership. For me, that means that we have a duty, not only as employees, but just as people, to care for our environment. We do highway cleanup, and then on down to in our personal lives, knowing of the proper way to dispose of things like oil, medications, and we should all be leaders for the environment. And then the last value is high performance. High performance meaning that we set goals and we strive to achieve them. We look for ways to improve both personally and professionally, and we ask for help when needed. So a little bit about us here at West Virginia American Water and our values. Now let's jump into the types of careers and what kind of education that you would typically need for those. So you can see the list here is quite long. We have administration, accounting and finance, business development, communications, external affairs, customer service, engineering, human resources, technology and innovation, legal, supply chain, safety and risk management, quality control and lab, maintenance, and water or wastewater treatment. And honestly, the education range is you can have anywhere from just a high school diploma with an interest in a specific field that we have, or it goes all the way up to a bachelor's degree. We even have several employees here that have went back and got their master's and doctorate. It really just depends on what you are most interested in to know what level of education that you would need. On our website and our careers, you can always go there to see the job openings to find out. It'll list right there what the requirements are. And it'll say suggested. That doesn't mean that it's required. That just means that it sets you apart from other candidates that may not have that additional education that you may have. So I encourage everyone to take a look there. And if there's an area of work that you're most interested in, I'm always available. You can reach out to me by email and or phone, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about the different areas that we offer. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a category breakdown because you'll hear us refer to our production side of things, our distribution, or a commercial. So production is the one that we are going to do a little more of a deep dive into today. But when we talk about our production system, that's specifically the water treatment process for us. And then we also have the distribution, which for us, that is to simplify, the piping that delivers the water to your home or business. And then the commercial side of things is what we use for like measurement of the water that is used. So meter work kind of. So there's a couple of different ones there. So you'll hear us talk about those three today. And then I'm going to now turn it over to the other Sarah on the call here. She is going to do a little bit of a deep dive into our production system, specifically the water treatment process. While I was preparing for today, I realized that I probably needed to call in an expert on water treatment. And I couldn't think of anyone better than someone here in our Kanawha Valley. Um, and she has so graciously agreed to do this with me. So I will turn it over to you, Sarah.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Snodgrass. I am the water quality supervisor here at the Kanawha Valley Treatment Plant. A little bit of my background, I started here as a water quality technician, working in the lab, and I moved up to water quality specialist, senior specialist, and now water quality supervisor. So I wanted to go over some of the processes in our treatment plant, and a little bit of explanation of each of these steps. And again, as Sarah mentioned earlier, just please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer those as best I can. I'm actually not an operator here, but I do have an operator's license. So anyone that works at the treatment plant, especially the people that run the treatment plant, they do have to go through a series of tests to obtain their operator's license. Because of the amount of people that we serve, this is a class 4 plant, and you start, of course, at number 1, and you take 4 different tests to achieve your operator's license. I think, Sarah, if let me know if you remember, there's not very many female operators in the state. Is it less than 10%, I believe? So, yeah, so it's definitely something that I think when I started here, there's only 2 females here. Now there's, I believe, 3 or 4. So it's definitely something to encourage you, anyone, to do this, to this role. But to start here on our slide, we have source to the tap. So our source water, we service here at Kanawha Valley, our Elk River. And that water supply, it's a surface water, river, lake, or stream. Several of our treatment plants have surface water. The Huntington plant services the Ohio River. So our next step is coagulation, and that uses iron or aluminum-based chemicals to form sticky particles that bind with the dirt and organic matter in the water. The next step is flocculation, that uses slow mixing of the chemicals that's added to the water to clump together the particles to form larger clumps of floc that is easier to settle out and clarify water. The next step is clarification. Sedimentation uses a heavy particle settle out the solids removed from the flocculation process. And those particles allow it to be recycled and improve water quality of topsoils. The next step is filtration. The clarified water passes through filters made of layers of sand, activated carbon, which help remove smaller particles, and then and bacteria. And some plants have begun using the membrane for filtration in lieu of granular media. The next step then is disinfection. That is the final step of the treatment process, using chlorine to kill any harmful pathogens that may remain in the water. Here at Kanawha Valley Treatment Plant, we also utilize UV. And then that goes out to our storage areas. Our tanks, distribution pumps usually use to push the water through the pipes in homes and businesses. Something unique to West Virginia because of our terrain. We also have to pump it uphill and then slow it down going on the other side. So we have a lot of pressure reducing valves in addition to the pumps. Sarah, next slide, please. And I just want to go over the steps here at the water treatment plant, just the 5 major steps: coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, filtration, and disinfection. Sarah? I would like to say that the water treatment process typically involves several steps to ensure the safe and potable water for consumption. These steps may vary depending on the source water and the quality of the raw water. It's important to note that specific treatment methods and their order may vary depending on the water source, regulatory requirements, and the desired water quality. Coagulation and flocculation are two separate processes used in succession to overcome the forces stabilizing the suspended solids. While coagulation neutralizes the charges on the particles, flocculation enables them to bind together, making them bigger so that they can easily be separated from the liquid. So as you can see, the efficiency, regardless of the size of the system, coagulation and flocculation are typically the initial steps of water treatment. It involves adding positively charged chemicals to neutralize the negatively charged dirt other than dissolved particles in the water. As you can see there, before coagulation and then the settled, the combination of the settled filter particles. Sarah? So the process uses coagulant chemicals. They destabilize negatively charged particles in the water. Since the negative charge is what keeps them dispersed, neutralizing that charge allows those solids to stick together, creating microscopic particles known as microflocks. To facilitate the collision of the particles for optimum coagulation, the liquid must be mixed rapidly. This quickly disperses the coagulant into the water and facilitates the formation of clumps by forcing more of the neutralized particles to collide. To ensure optimal coagulation, it is recommended that the water be agitated at a high speed. After the coagulant has been added, once the coagulation process is complete, the water is often treated using the next step of flocculation. And as you can see in that picture, that is really exactly what it looks like. You see in the first picture, you don't really see any, it's turbid, but you don't see a lot of dirt. And then the next step is after adding that chemical and then it flocking together, and then that's filtered out in the last beaker. The process takes treated water from the coagulation stage, mixes it slowly to increase the collision rates. If you mix it too fast at this stage, it will actually just rip the flocks apart and causing them not to stay together. So you do have that at that point, you have to mix it very slowly. The flocculants are added to the water to bind, again, the small particles. The flocks are settled at the bottom of the tank to be filtered out. It is an important step in the water treatment process. It removes the suspended solids that would otherwise be difficult to remove. This is actually a picture of one of our clarifiers here at the Kanawha Valley Treatment Plant. We have 4 out in the front area of our plant. You can see these by the interstate as you drive by. The purpose of these sedimentation clarifiers is to enhance the filtration process by removing the particulates. It is a process which by suspended particles are removed from the water by gravitation and separation. The clarifier works by permitting the heavier and larger particles to settle to the bottom of the clarifier. The ideal speed of the water clarifier is slow to maximize the settling time for particles and to separate from the water effectively. So the way that the clarifier works is basically an upside down funnel. So the water on the top of the clarifier is the water that has already been separated, and everything on the bottom of the clarifier has the heavier mud and flock. The next step after the clarification process is filtration. The water goes through another process for the solid separation. Clear water on top now passes through the filters of various pore size. It is made from different materials such as sand and gravel. These filters are in place to help remove dissolved particles and unwanted substances from the water. Here at the Kanawha Valley Treatment Plant, we use granular activated carbon, and it is a material used to remove organic contaminants. This helps with taste and odor causing compounds from the water by absorbing them into the large surface areas. the filter bed. Essentially, the contaminants stick to the carbon particles and purify the water. Our next step is our disinfection process. We use chlorine here at the plant, and it is the most common disinfectant used in drinking water. It's effective against bacteria and viruses, and it has the ability to produce a residual which can be tested in the distribution system. I'll go over that a little more in just a moment. We also have UV light that we recently installed here at the treatment plant. And UV light is also used in wastewater treatment. Another explanation I'll give you about the chlorine residual is that we do also collect about 150 samples in our distribution system every month. That does stretch over all counties, not just here in Kanawha County. In Boone County, Putnam County, Cabell, all of our distribution systems collect samples and check that chlorine residual. They are also brought back to our laboratory here at the plant to test for total coliforms and E. coli. And the distribution system, like I mentioned earlier, that is composed of pipes, valves, and pumps throughout the plants, homes, offices, industries, and all consumers. These facilities, we store water, the meters measure water to use, and hydrants for firefighting and other uses.
And we are lightning speed around here. So do you guys have any questions?
Let me unmute them. Okay. Well, one of the things I did want to tell Sarah that was talking about the filtration, it's really interesting because in our chemistry class, two of the things we've been covering is we've been covering the electromagnetic spectrum. So how you can use UV radiation to sterilize and disinfect. And then our last unit was actually like aqueous solution. So studying like those charges in water and taking them out and everything like that. So let me see if anybody has any questions or any, oh, sorry, it's doing that Zoom thing again. I have no idea why. Does anybody have any questions? Anything? One thing I will ask Sarah, if you don't mind me asking, is to get into what you got into, like starting as a tech, what kind of education did you have to have?
I actually started with a biology degree. I went to West Virginia State University here in Institute. And once I got my biology degree, I started working in a laboratory, and then I went back to school to get a chemistry degree. So I do have both, and they both are actually very versatile. So I started within local environmental laboratories here in town, and then I worked for the state for the Department of Agriculture. And then I was able to get this position here running a GC mass spec is where I started, running analytical instrumentation.
Very cool. And if you don't mind me asking, did you have to have a master's degree as well, or were you able to do this with your bachelor's, or?
Yeah, I just have a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And
cool.
you don't have to have a bachelor's degree to obtain your operator's license, but it does make the process a lot faster. It takes a very long time to get your operator's license without having the education background. So it does definitely help that process.
And I would like to add in there, in order to obtain your water treatment plant license, as Sarah mentioned earlier, there's a class 1, 2, 3, and 4. To get your class 1, it is a combined hours on the job hours, along with taking a test and having kind of like that book training. It does help a lot to have a general interest in science, math, really all of the things, STEM, in order to obtain your license. It's not a requirement to have a college degree for a Class 1, but it definitely helps you with studying and knowing that material in order to obtain your Class 1, which is the lowest for water treatment plants. And then to get all the way up to a Class 4, and Sarah may correct me on this, is it 6,000 hours?
It's actually 10.
10,000, yeah. So 10,000 on the job hours in order to obtain a Class 4 license. So that is a lot of on the job hours, in my opinion, because you're going to be 40-hour work week, and it depends on which water treatment plant you're at, what those schedules look like. So
You can use your degree as substitution for those hours. You turn in your transcripts to the state and they evaluate the classes that you have had, and they will transfer those also into hours worked.
Sarah, do you work in a laboratory setting primarily, or are you like analyzing data primarily?
A little bit of everything now that I'm in the supervisor role. I go out and collect samples. I work in the laboratory. I take care of the online analyzers here at the plant. And I do some maintenance on some of the field equipment. And then I'm here in my office doing, paperwork for our monthly operating reports. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it seems like it's really versatile. It seems like you wouldn't get.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely don't have time to get bored doing one thing or another. It actually fits my role very well because I don't think I'd be able to just be here all day in the office. It allows me to get out and stay in when the weather's bad.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I asked, because I know the kids really enjoy the labs. I think that's kind of the thing they like the best about chemistry, is getting to get up and work with their hands and things like that. I was curious.
And it's been that way actually in any type of laboratory role that I've had. It's never seems to be just a sit down role of everyday monotonous work. I mean, you're always doing something a little different and trying to improve the process.
something I will also add about West Virginia American Water, we have a tuition reimbursement that is phenomenal. If you were to start out at an entry-level position here, you could always determine which path you want to go on within the business and continue that education to get there. One thing I can really champion for us is if you set a goal as to somewhere that you want to be within the business, your leadership team will do everything to align your work and your education needs in order to get you to that area of the business.
That's good to hear. That's really interesting, because I know the kids are always looking for ways that they can help pay for school because it is so expensive.
I have a question. I know West Virginia American Water is a huge industry because they service all of West Virginia. But do you know how many you guys employ with your long list of the different career options? Do you know how many?
In state, we have approximately 330 employees, and we serve over 600,000 customers.
And do you have an age minimum with the tuition reimbursement and things like that? It made me think, can someone apply right out of high school, start working in one of the career paths and then start, or is it like a 21 and up?
There is
required?
not an age requirement. 18 years old is typically, and high school diploma is what is required in order to be considered for a position, and then also for your tuition reimbursement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Sarah. How many would you say start as not being in college versus they come into the company already having graduated from college? Is it a mix or?
Um, I cannot answer that. I'm not totally sure. I can speak from personal experience. I do not have a college degree. I did come into the company just as an entry-level position. I started in a customer service style role, or what we would call a operations support role. And then have progressed into an external affairs role. So you can definitely start out at an entry position and get to anywhere in the business. Another cool thing about West Virginia American Water is we are under what we would call the umbrella of American Water. And so if you decide that you want to move to another state, there is career options in all of our states. Hawaii American Water is very small. I look for jobs there frequently. I would love to move to Hawaii. They don't come open much though, as you can imagine. And then we also have areas that are closer to us. We have Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and then we have the call center or customer support, which are fully remote positions. We have a few of those that are here in West Virginia, and they support all of the states, all the American Water states. So there's options for, completely remote work, as well as on-site work, which I know is remote work is probably becoming a thing of the past at this point, but we do still have employees that are fully remote.
And is your company, do you find that you guys are always hiring? Is this, as far as our state goes, is it you're wanting to continuously recruit, or is it more competitive to where there's not as many openings?
I would say depending on the area that you're looking to get into. I think if you would look at our website right now, we have, I'm going to say roughly 10 positions that are open as of today. And they are all across the business positions. There's some with engineering, there is some in the water treatment plant. I believe it's in Huntington. That position is out of. And then there's positions in the Eastern Panhandle that are open. We're newer to that area. I think we've only been there a little over a year at this point. So people are still learning about us. I've noticed that here in the Kanawha Valley, a lot of people already know about us as a water company, as a great employer. But in the Eastern Panhandle, where we're newer, people aren't as familiar with us. So we're growing a lot in that area. We're also growing here, around the Kanawha Valley as well. Our business development team is always looking to expand and to help out municipalities, PSDs where they can. So growth is a big thing here, and we're always going to need employees to be in all fields of work here with the growth that's happening.
I would also say that a lot of times it just depends on the roles. Because this is an excellent company with great benefits. So in some roles, we don't have a lot of turnover. So when we do have an opening, especially with water quality, we don't get a lot of openings. We're a small department within Charleston and Huntington, so we don't get openings quite often, and when we do, they go kind of quickly.
Would you say that the water quality department is your most like, the one that people want to work in the most? Is that,
Well,
the one
I'm a little
that's-
biased on that, so I'm not. Um, I think any role here it just depends on what your field and what you like to do. It just really depends on that. Because I'm sure like Sarah in her group, she would say that that one was the one that people would want to work in the most. So
I do jokingly tell everyone that I have the fun job. I get to go out and do the community events and do all the fun things. So I definitely feel like, I enjoy my job a lot. But I would say that um, it really just depends. A lot of it has to do with what type of work environment you want to be in. And I mean, environment as in, do you like working outside? Would you prefer be indoors? Do you want a mix of both? It really just depends on, what type of work you're most interested in. And I can't speak for everyone in the company, but we love to tell people about our day-to-day, our roles, and what a typical day looks for us. So I encourage everyone, if there is something that you're more interested in or just want to learn a little bit more about, I'm always happy to set you up with someone that is in that area of work and see if they can have a one-on-one chat with you, tell you a little bit more about their day, what type of education they have, and how they got here. I would definitely encourage that from anyone.
we also do tours as well. Sorry to interrupt you, Emily. We also do tours. So if anytime anybody wants to come and actually look at the process, here at Canal Valley, anywhere across the state that we have one of our treatment plants, contact Sarah to set up for to get a tour to see, firsthand.
I think this is going to be a question for Sarah Wade. One of my students actually just asked me, like, what kind of benefits do you all offer? And then I'll piggyback off of her question and just ask, are those like the same benefits for everyone, or does it depend on your role and your position?
All of our benefits, personally, I think they're amazing. We do have all the health insurance, vision, dental. There is a new benefit that I am not a complete expert in yet, but it is for fertility assistance. They also have a great retirement, and I think depending on if you're in the field area, a lot of our field employees or frontline workers are union-based employees, which they have additional benefits that the non-union employees like myself do not have. But overall, we have really great benefits as far as health insurance and retirement.
And I'll actually, Sarah, my grandmother-in-law actually works for West Virginia American Water. I was texting her this morning, Barbara Gross. I think you might know.
Yes.
Okay, but she, yeah, she's great benefits and everything like that. So I can speak to her that she really enjoys working here as well.
Yes, I actually adore Barb. She inherited my previous tasks before I came into the external affairs role. So she has a lot on her plate.
I have a question about the tuition. If the students do come to work, or, well, obviously they graduate with their degrees for a certain amount of time that they have to stay with you guys, or that kind of thing?
There is a 1-year agreement, which isn't that bad. I know I have family members that went into a nursing field, and they had to sign a 2 and 4 year contracts in order to work for a specific company to get their tuition reimbursed. So I think 1 year is really good. And once you graduate high school, a year flies by. It feels like it was a month. It really does pass really quick. So
Yeah, I'll say as a teacher, for us to get any kind of like loan forgiveness or reimbursement, it's 5 years at usually a Title I school. So a year is really, I mean, I've never heard of something that short, so that's really great.
we also have the American Water as a whole work through some agreements with different universities, and they offer I'm going to say discounted tuition rates for American Water employees. So I've noticed that is becoming more frequent with American Water as we negotiate with, because we are such a huge company, negotiate with different universities and schools to help students find a quality education at a little bit of a more affordable price. And then also with that tuition reimbursement, it really does help.
Sarah, I have one last question. It's a follow-up on your customer service folks. You said they're fully remote, so they're anytime like we call the water company for an issue, it's somebody at their house answering a phone and taking care of that problem for the customer. So that seems like a great role, like if you wanted to be at home and yet still have that role. Can you talk about it a little more?
Yes, we have so depending on what I'm going to say level of customer service you're calling in for, if you're just calling in for a hey, I need to pay my bill sort of thing, you are going to be speaking to someone that could be in any of the states that we have service in. I think the requirement in order to be in customer service role is you have to be within 2 hours of an operations center. So they need to be 2 hours from Charleston if they're in West Virginia, or 2 hours from one of our offices in the Eastern Panhandle, or Huntington, 2 hours somewhere within that area. But those are fully remote positions. So they could definitely be sitting in the lounge chair with their computers up and taking care of all things customer service. So that is a great benefit, especially if you are someone that prefers to be in the comfort of your home and doing that one-on-one customer service for people. It is a great option for career-wise. And if I'm not mistaken, they are union employees as well. They have the option to be union. And that is, I will say that is we have 2 different types of employment. We have what we call the state employee, which would be like they're employed by the state of West Virginia. So they would only support West Virginia. And then we have what we would call service company employees, which they would support all of the American Water states. So there's 2 types of employment there, service company and then state, West Virginia specific employees.
Okay, so Ms. Whittington, do any of the students have any more questions before we wrap up?
Any other questions or anything? No, I don't think so. I think you guys pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, what a great call. So many great questions, very engaging. Thank you, students, for being active listeners. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. And we hope that this session has given you guys some insight into a different career pathway. and talked about some real world skills that are needed to work in this industry and help shape your future. So just a quick reminder that our business learning modules take place every Monday, and then we make the recordings available soon after that. And you can get on our website, educationalliance.org, and find work-based learning, and all of the recordings from all of the businesses will live there. So students, we encourage you to just keep exploring, asking questions, and just make most of the time and the opportunities to learn about different careers, especially in your state. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much.